So hey guys, in writing news, I finished the first of the Werewolf Cowboy stories, which I might send out to a couple of people to take a look at for me. And I started work on the second in the set. I'm working on them out of order. They'll be for the Anthology Project, which is intended to add some detail to certain aspects of the backstory for the Blue Moon universe, which I'll talk about in more detail with the official announcement of the anthology. But suffice to say that it's set in ancient Egypt and is kind of intended to explain how, in the story universe, the basis of the Egyptian religion was founded. And it's going to be interesting. I mean, it's one of those cases where it's, I guess, a little bit of an experiment because I've never really written anything in some of these time frames before. So it's got characters that are original to these stories, and it's going to fill in some details to explain where the wares have been and the different relationships they've had with the cultures of the world over the past several thousand years. And it's going to kind of be, I guess, one of those things where generally people know events having transpired in a certain way, and this is going to suggest, at least for some things, that it didn't necessarily happen the way that history records. And yeah, also kind of on the basis of myths have a basis in fact. Well, this is sort of a little bit of that as well. And some of the stories, I mean, they're going to have. I'm trying to do a variety of tones and approaches. Some of these are going to be funny. Some of these are going to be dramatic. Some of these are going to be dark in theory. And, it's kind of, I guess, intended to sort of stretch my literary muscles, sort of help me get back into the flow of some things, because I haven't really been making that much progress in my big projects. In fact, not really much at all. But I'm working on turning that around. Not not ready to say anything yet, but it's still on my mind. But that's it for the writing news at the moment. I'll probably have more when I make some separate announcement videos, but I have to work on a list of things I need to work at the notes first. And in work-related stuff, they put us back on 3 days of telecommuting, which has kind of thrown my schedule out of whack because I had with 2 days at the front desk, 2 days at home, and 1 day at my actual desk. I had this perfect sort of rhythm going, and it only lasted for about 2 weeks before they said we're going back to a mandatory 3 days of telecommuting. And, I like telecommuting. I really didn't think I was going to. But, the problem mostly is just that I need some time at my desk every week in order to do certain tasks. And this kind of threw things out of whack in some ways. I mean, I've found ways to work around it, but as with a lot of things with COVID, we just kind of need to work on it. And I mean, it kind of makes me think that, particularly in the case of the United States, that a lot of places are just reopening way too soon because I think honestly they're tired of dealing with this stuff. But I mean, I hate to say this, but too bad. I mean, the United States has a huge problem right now. I mean, it's embarrassing that we have the most numbers of coronavirus cases, the number of deaths we've had that could have been avoided, all because of a federal response that has been completely inept and lacking in any kind of effective approach to this. And I mean, it just seems like, given the fact that things are at the stage that they are because of the lack of a federal government response, and some of the things that people that have been like anti-mask have been saying, and it never should have gotten this far, and it's really embarrassing to be in the position that we're in right now, because I just can't help but look at some of these other countries and just think that these masks aren't an issue in Canada and things like that. Masks shouldn't be an issue anywhere. It's not a political statement. It's a public health science-based idea. Just wear a mask. Wash your hands, keep your distance. And if it's one of those things that if we had just done this stuff in January and February, if we had listened to the experts, if the federal government had mandated masks early and such, we could have been back to normal months ago. And the simple fact is that we have a government right now that is not listening to its experts, that they want what they want when they want it, and they're being a bunch of children when it comes to the safety of the public, and that the public is not really distinguishing themselves either. I mean, I know a lot of us are being good, responsible people, and we're wearing masks, but then there are also a bunch of people that aren't. And I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I saw a story online that said that Mississippi lawmakers are starting to get COVID after weeks of refusing to wear masks, and all I can say is karma. I mean, this is not rocket science. It's very, very simple. But anyway, I'm not going to spend a lot of time ranting on that. I just wanted to say that. And I made my first grilled cheese this week. I've had them before, but I decided, because especially one of the nice things about working from home is that I have opportunities to cook my own lunches rather than relying on lean cuisines or going out to get something, which, I mean, lean cuisines are pretty good, but every once in a while I just like the ability to cook my lunches. So if I'm at home, that's usually what I'll do. You know, I have a couple of items on my menu that I kind of like to rotate through, which has given me an opportunity to enjoy some foods that I either haven't had an opportunity to, that you know, Ben doesn't like and I do, or things of that nature. But as a result of that, it's been nice because, you know, I looked up how to make a grilled cheese, and it was pretty much how I expected. It's not that complicated, and I obviously cooked a lot more advanced things than that. But, you know, I wanted a grilled cheese. It's like I really wanted a grilled cheese this Thursday, so, you know, here it is. I cooked it in the skillet on the stove and didn't take that long, and it was really good. It was just like the perfect food for that particular lunch, so that was good. And also, I figured out how to capture some video game footage on my computer, so I'm contemplating the possibility of maybe doing some video game related content. You know, of course, I'm concerned about infringing on copyright and things like that. I mean, I don't really want to step on anybody's toes. But in my research, it sort of seems like the general consensus is that most developers aren't going to give you a hard time because it promotes their products and such, and the language is ambiguous so that they can nail anybody who does things they don't like. But given the amount of Let's Plays and reviews and things that are out there, it seems like for the most part you're okay. Nevertheless, I've tried to take the extra precaution and contacted the first company I was looking at using some of their material to ask permission to do a video, because what I want to do is do an overview of the videos, you know, talk about the series a little bit, talk about the gameplay itself, and sort of recommend the series to other people, because there's a couple of games that I really like. And while I could just talk about it like I'm doing right now, I think it would have a lot more impact if I could show some of the game footage. And, you know, not necessarily like in huge chunks, but, you know, show like the battle, talk about how things work in the mechanics, show off some of the environments, maybe, you know, bits and pieces of the opening movie scene, that sort of thing. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We'll see what they say. And, you know, if they say yes, then fabulous, and I'll probably adopt that as a plan if I decide to do video game content in the future. And if they say no, well, then that's that. And if they don't say anything, I might try and do it and just be prepared for the possibility that I might need to take it down, or that it might not be able to be monetized or anything like that. But in any event, right now anyway, I don't have a large enough audience that I think that would matter. But I don't know. I mean, I guess that's about it on that for right now. I mean, if you'd like to see some video game content from me, then, you know, let me know if that's something that you would be interested in, because, you know, it really helps me to hear from you guys, because honestly I feel like a lot of times I'm working in a vacuum. I mean, I don't necessarily expect the internet to just go crazy over anything I do, but at the same time sometimes it would be nice if I can hear your feedback on like the short stories that I put out, on the art I post, you know, just little bits to let me know that you're thinking, even if it's like nice picture or nice story or something. definitely would like to ask you guys to do that if you have the opportunity. It's like I know I see a fair amount of what I consider a fair amount of views for some stuff, but I mean I don't get a whole lot of comments, particularly on some of the writing that I put out, and I could really use more of that if I could encourage you guys to do that. So I guess the last thing that's worth mentioning right now in this vlog is that most of you guys know that I'm a huge sci-fi nut. I have been since I was like 5 years old, and haven't done any videos on it yet. I will at some point, but you're going to see more Star Trek related content from me. But one of the other things I wanted to talk about also is that I have been pondering it for a couple of months, but I finally gave in to the impulse to um, sign up for the Battlestar Galactica Starships collection, because I've always liked the ships from Galactica just like I have the ships from Star Trek. And at last I have finally broken down, because for a while I didn't do it just because I didn't really have a place to put them, and also because I was kind of thinking, Shag might go another collection or something along those lines, but ultimately I decided I wanted it anyway, and I just went ahead and did it. And, I mean, he wasn't too crazy. I mean, he wasn't too upset about it or anything like that, but I guess it was just, it's one of those things that, if you know me, it's one of those things you have to get used to, because, he likes swords, I like spaceships. It's just one of those aspects. But this is the Galactica, which, if you can see it, it's got some weight to it. It's pretty spot on to the ship from the series. Eagle Moss produces a lot of high quality models, and I always kind of like the Galactica myself, just because it's not only is it the hero ship of the series, but it's also just a cool looking design that has always been pretty interesting to me. So this is the first one. This is Modern Galactica from the 2004 series by Ronald D. Moore, starring a lot of my favorite actors. And I know they've included, I think they've gotten up to about 20 ships at this point. And I might do a video on the collection eventually at some point. I don't know if I really have the time or inclination to check out each individual model like I've seen some people do. But anyway, this is the Galactica, and find a place for it other than my desk. Right now it's just kind of been sitting there, honestly, just because I like looking at it and playing with it for right now, but that's about it. But anywho, I guess, let's see, I know I need to make a bunch of lists of things I need to do, and get my act together and get a lot of things organized, because honestly I haven't been a very good creative for a while. But I am trying, and I'm working on it, and I need to figure out a couple of other things. But at the very least, I'd like to say also, in closing, that I think it's a big deal that after many, many years of being terrified of the prospect, shooting videos with my actual face, about talking in front of the camera, and because that's stuff that for a long time I just avoided like the plague, just for whatever reason, maybe because I thought I wouldn't present well, or just because, I mean, I'll admit, a lot of times I'm afraid of putting out substandard content, or content that's below my usual level of quality, and it really means a lot, when you guys respond. But just the fact that I'm doing it at all, because it was a big thing for me to overcome, to do a lot of things, like to publicly discuss my transition, to just put myself on camera, because I mean I'm a fraidy cat when it comes to a lot of that sort of thing, and it's big. I mean, it's a big deal for me. And if you've made it this far in the video, I really want to thank you for supporting me and for putting up with me and all that other good stuff, because some people, I mean, they don't think anything of it, sitting in front of their computer talking about their day or whatever it is that their YouTube content is. And it's not easy for everybody, and for some people it's really difficult. And one of the things that has helped me overcome my fears is honestly just doing it, continuing to do it, keep trying to get better at it, things like that. So I mean, if you're nervous about doing things, if you're afraid about doing things, try it. Get started. Just do a little bit at a time. It doesn't have to be a big thing. It doesn't have to be a lot, and the world isn't going to end if you screw up. Even if you live stream something and you screw up while you're doing, a live audience. I mean, some of this stuff is terrifying, and this is something I'm trying to get past with some of the other things. Is figure out how to get past various neural blocks, and this was one of the big ones. Just doing what I'm doing right now. So, if I could ask you to, I would say like encourage people that are thinking about doing things, because we all benefit when we produce more of ourselves. Even if I never accomplish some of my goals, like whatever I do accomplish still counts. It still matters. So, whatever you put out there, like it's more than you had before. So, keep trying, keep doing it. And this is something that I'm trying to tell myself. It's just, it matters. I mean, if you don't do it, it's, people can't really can't react to what they don't do. So, just give it a try. And I guess that's it for now. It's my birthday in a couple of weeks, which mixed thoughts on that. I mean, that seems to be the case a lot lately. I mean, it's not that I'm not happy to have more birthdays. I am. But, I haven't really accomplished a lot in terms of what I wanted to do. And it's mostly my fault, I guess. But, it's also just the fact that it's my birthday. And I don't know. I usually end up spending it at home, just doing things I usually do on most normal days. And that's not a bad thing. But it also kind of bums me out, in particular, just because I guess maybe because it's COVID and we don't necessarily have the option to do a lot of things. I mean, it's kind of one of those cases where I think I might like to have some friends nearby, like me, Nerdy Tiger Fox, and Atsuki. I would definitely like to hang out with you guys on days like that if that was possible. But, there'll be, I guess, more on that, and I'll probably try and shoot something, and hopefully it won't be super hot on my birthday. Maybe it'll cool down a little. We'll have a cloudy day or something, and I might do some fursuit-related content, although right now it's like I'm kind of sweating a little bit just sitting here. So if I do any fursuit content today, it's not going to be much. But we'll catch you guys later, so have a good couple of weeks.
Thanks for watching, and if you liked it, click the subscribe button and leave a comment below. You can also find me on Twitter and a few other places on the web, or support me via Patreon or Ko-fi. Zebra hugs!